LinkedIn Live with my co-host, Tara Gooch. We've been doing this for a couple months, and we're excited by your excitement, your involvement. We're open to chat. We're more than happy to share your comments or thoughts with the rest of the audience. And that's what we're here for, is to bring value. With that said, we've been talking about how does one view LinkedIn and how does one take advantage of the full opportunity of it. So Tara, I know you're on a fast track. You're embracing all kinds of new change and opportunities in every direction. So you're an inspiration for people that know you, because I talk to a lot of those people and they bring you up even before I do. So Tara, how's your week, and what are you looking at?
Wow. I want to say this that, for anybody that's intimidated by video or LinkedIn Live, this year was my first year publishing a video on social media. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. But just in these last 6 months, Don, I think I've appeared between 60 and 70 podcast or live appearances.
Hmm.
So, yeah, in that short amount of time, so every month I'm guaranteed to be on at least 10 between
Wow.
podcasts or live shows. And that's amazing result. And now it's that snowball effect, right? So, people see me, and now it's, instead of me reaching out to them, they reach out to me. So it's incredible, guys. It really, the power of video and just putting yourself out there, putting your message across is so amazing. And channels like this are where it's at.
Well, you really do put a lot of information in a small amount of time. And I think that's so valuable for the audience, because they get the essence of what we have to kind of mine through the week and through our ability to qualify opportunities in people. And, it's like anything else, everything's difficult until it gets simple, you know? And what you have to really challenge yourself is, what is the cost of not doing something,
Yeah.
right? Too many people look at, well, what's it going to cost me if I do it? What's it going to cost you if you don't do it? And if you're not where you're at and you don't know how to get to where you want to go, hop a ride with someone who's already driving. And that's why I think, being a co-host, being a guest, reach out to the people you really respect and admire most and support. I mean, right now we've got 3 people who have, come on our chat board. I'm not good with names, but Shabineth Mandel, Emil El Fada, Bravo, and Matoka Sankia. Hello, good morning. So that's 3. We're open to anybody who has some comments, thoughts, but we sure appreciate your participation. And, that's what drives us, is our ability to, there's 10 lifetimes of opportunity on LinkedIn for everybody. The way to take advantage of is to collaborate, aggregate, and support each other. It's so weird, because sometimes there's only 2 directions, right? Left or right, up or down. All you got to do is switch your direction and get behind people, and don't worry about yourself, because you'll be with the people, but you'll be behind them in the beginning, because that's what initiates something. And ultimately, no matter what you think, if you do enough for people that they fully appreciate, they want to keep you happy, they want to keep you with them, they want to figure out new ways to do bigger things together. So in essence, if you know you've got the goods, right, then share it with people, right? It's all going to come out in your favor. If you already know the answer before everybody else does, you can live through some suspense. And you know what it does? It really tests people's ability to reciprocate. And you're better off finding really early on how people exchange goodwill, right? If you're doing a lot and then you anticipate something and it doesn't happen, well, that's a little disappointing, but it's a fast way out of there. Too many people are wishing against what is already done, or whoever they're with. And that's another thing I'm advocating. Forget the past, right? Anybody you dealt with in the past knows you and you know them. And because people don't have enough future, they keep digging back into the past and they become, oh, irritable, right? Unless you got something new, you're disturbing someone. It can't be, hey, it's been 6 months since we talked. That's why we haven't talked, because there wasn't nothing to talk about. And it may be 6 more months, right? But if you have something, that's different. So Tara, I know, with all of your activity, especially with these podcasts and LinkedIn Lives, you're getting so much exposure to so many people who are really good at what they do. So it's not just everybody's getting together and practicing. You must be gaining insights. So, you talk about where you were and now where you are, but just the insights and the support, that must be amazing.
It's amazing because it makes you better. And, one of the 7 habits of highly effective people, most people know that book, right? The 7 habits of highly effective people. Do something every day that sharpens your tool, that sharpens your skill set, right? So with me, it's hanging out with people that I can bring up to a level. It's
Mm-hmm.
also being with people that are at my level, but then also beyond that, being with people that are ahead of me and sharpening my tool set. So I sharpen my tool set in a couple different ways. I help others, right? Because when you teach, you learn it even with more clarity, with more depth, with more perception. So if you're able to teach something to somebody that doesn't know, it sharpens your tool set. If you're able to work with people on your same level, you guys feed off of each other. And again, that energy exchange, right? And it does help elevate each other. And then when you are beyond that and you work with people that are ahead of you, it again sharpens your tool set in a different way so that at the end of the day or at the end of the week or month or year, your skill set is so drastically improved because you've taught, you've been immersed, and you have had that experience from a leader that has given you something that you didn't have before. It's so important.
That is so beautiful and valuable, because whether it's a newbie who's just getting started, that gives you the opportunity to see what LinkedIn is to fresh eyes, right?
Mhm.
A lot
Yeah.
of times over time, you get tunnel vision or you're just got blinders on. When you get a new person, they bring things up and you say, wow, so you're getting feedback on the other side. If you get with somebody who's really experienced and professional, you start to see, hey, this is where it went. Here's where I am, but I could see now, here's where this person took it and how they did it. And here's the beauty of it. Everybody could leapfrog each other. If it
Yes.
took me a year, it could take someone a day. Once they identify, readjust their strategy. Because here's the key. If you want to get good at anything, you have to develop a discipline, a program, and a strategy. And here's the beautiful thing about LinkedIn, and it makes it for such an equal opportunity to everybody. You're only as good as your next thought, right?
Yes.
And if you've got an insight, if you've got a perspective, you win. And so the person who was this for 20 years and that for that, that is all great. And it's something to be proud of. But what do you show up today at? Right? It's like any sports. The day you can't play is the day you're not playing. But the day someone steps on the court and really starts to make an impact. And in the past, it was hard because it was a scrum. When you were doing 810 million people were posting, maybe they were getting some points on their creative or their illustrative. But what are you getting points for? Now
Hmm.
you're saying more eyeballs, but it doesn't make for relevancy. And anybody can be anybody behind text. But when you move into LinkedIn Live, all the filters are gone, all the excuses are gone. And that's beautiful too, because here's why. It's a great excuse for not having to be perfect. If I was going to create a video, everybody would know before I published it, I could have edited it. And if there's a hiccup or there's something that didn't work, someone's going to say, well, they're just too lazy, or they didn't care, or they don't even know.
Yeah.
Right? On LinkedIn Live, there's no unringing the bell.
Yes.
Right? And what I'm finding, and it's so cool because I've been doing this every day for 6 months, and I talk to really interesting people who are just doing it, and they send me their LinkedIn Live, and they say, what do you think? And I watched one yesterday, I don't know, it was like 8, 9 minutes. At 20 seconds, I was falling asleep.
Yep.
It just had no vibe, no punch, no energy. And you know what? It had no authenticity.
Yes.
The person was talking as if it was a wall or an object or themselves, and they didn't know it. And what was the contrast? I talked to this wonderful gentleman, Mario. He's going to be on my LinkedIn Live. He's a guy that's in Marseille, and he's doing unbelievable things. Terrific guy. And he came through because he watched my show, and just like these people on the side commented, and anybody who comments that's relevant and somewhat aligned, I want to follow that up.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at this as you did something, I thanked you, and that was it, because that's my fault. Right? If someone initiates something, someone has an obligation to say, well, someone knocks on the door, someone say, well, what can I do for you? It isn't like, thanks for knocking on a door, knock on another door. So I asked Mario, and that's the cool thing about that. What attracted you to my show? And what keeps you coming back? A wonderful guy. He said, I'm such a fan because you talk in such an informal way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in other words, like you now are in someone's living room with them, maybe having a coffee. Maybe there's 20 living rooms you enter, but you're not up on a podium.
Yeah.
You're not pointing down, telling everybody what they need to do. You know, what you're really sharing, hopefully, is your intention, your feeling and emotion to what it's doing to you.
Yes.
Right? And if that's something you need, because that's the thing that will drive the future, is if you're happy, celebrate. Keep reinforcing what you're doing. Don't get to the next shining object. But here's the thing, if you're not, don't settle for not.
Yeah.
Don't sit still. If you're in a cold room, it won't take long before you get a sweater or leave the room. Right? If you're in a cold LinkedIn environment or business environment, don't tolerate discomfort, because you've got freedom, you've got movement, you've got creativity. And here's the thing you have that most people don't use. You've got people like me and Tara, because the only qualification I have is someone who's got a commitment.
Yep.
Right? If someone says, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I got to do something about it. And there's points in everybody's life, because I hear these stories.
Yeah.
You know, I once heard a story. This lady was doing this huge speech in front of thousands of people. And naturally, after the speech, everybody wants to gravitate and share some things. And somehow I got to talking with her, and, you know, I was speaking too. And I said, tell me your story. And she says, you won't believe where I came from. And I said, well, tell me. So, well, I was married real early, had 3 kids. My husband was making a living. And one day I needed to go to the store, and I asked him for $20. And he said to me, what do you need it for? You know? And that was the last thing I ever asked for. Because if I got to explain why I need $20 to go to the store, that was it. And she went to school, got these degrees, you know, rose through corporate America. And she said it was only that moment when I heard what I heard that there was no going back.
Wow.
And, yeah, and that inspires you.
Yeah.
To think that all it takes is a word, a sentence, a person. And that's what you got to look at LinkedIn. It's only one. You might have 800 million that get you distracted. But in my business career, it was only 2 or 3 people that influenced my whole life.
That's
And at
right.
LinkedIn, it's not like it was where you had to travel, you had to meet people. Now you just look at who's doing something. And people on LinkedIn Live are learning to craft. So the more they do, and especially with people who are doing some really cool things, uh, and Tara's, introduced me to the group on Saturday. That really is great and promotes other people. So Tara, why don't you share what your experience has been with all this community of collaboration?
Absolutely. That's one of, our mutual favorite things. That's why we get along so well. I just really enjoy collaborating with others. Again, it sharpens your tool set, but it's more than that. It's about building a community around you that supports you, likes you, does business with you. It's not worth having a bunch of connections that are empty. I want to have a community. I want to build a neighborhood here of like minded people that are supporters of each other, that do business with each other, that support each other's content and works, that have each other on our shows, respective shows and networks, and introduce. That's the goal. The goal is, again, to not build up emptiness. The goal is to build up connectivity by collaboration and continuous networking with each other. We all know the saying, your network is your net worth, but how many truly practice it in life? And, going back to what you said about LinkedIn Live and someone, who was new to the show and it seemed inauthentic, right?
Mm-hmm.
That used to be the case of LinkedIn. It used to be a really stuffy platform where nobody showed their authentic selves and it was like a static resume. It's no longer the case anymore. And,
Mm-hmm.
on LinkedIn, I like to think of it as the human influencer. It's not necessarily the influencer with the largest amount of following. It's the person that creates the largest amount of impact and change,
Mm-hmm.
a real thought leader and change agent. That's who you need to follow on LinkedIn. It's not necessarily the people that have the most amount of followers or the most amount of likes on their posts, because that wanes over time and that plateaus just like anything else.
Mm-hmm.
What's only ever going to accelerate on this platform is thought leadership, collaboration, community building, and that collective service mindset of reciprocity and giving back, and really just community building and getting in touch with each other.
Yeah, that's so vital. And one can look at themselves as the string that puts the pearls together, right? So if you've got all these pearls of wonderful people, how do you string everybody together in a team? And the key to any team, and even if you've been working in corporate America, there's people in the office that when you see them, your day is going to be better for it. And the opposite is true for some people, that it's like, hey, this is trouble here, right? On LinkedIn, what I see about LinkedIn Live and about what Tara's talking about as far as the strategic approach is, it's not how many people you attract, it's how many people you keep close to you,
Yeah.
right? I got 37,000 followers. I'd say 300 are the best of the best. Out of the 300, it really reduces to how many are interactive in what time frame,
Yeah.
right? Some people I work with every week. And it's not about clients. I think people are too superficial and narrow in clients.
Yeah.
Clients are an offset of your bigger funnel, which means what I look for is strategic relationships and associations. I want to make and do things with people, not off of people. I want to be relationship oriented, not transaction. And I don't want to have to keep selling or keep justifying, right? Because everything should be value driven and value compensated. right? And that's the fairest way. So to not do that, but here's the rub, because people have been, let's say, programmed to not do something until they get something.
Yes.
That they wait too long or they give just enough. You gave me this, I'm only giving you that. And what they're doing is restricting themselves and making judgments and measurements that take your mind away from what you could have added to it.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, what's going through your head? I ask people, when you have time alone and you have time to reflect, do your biggest disappointments show up? What could have been, should have been? Or do your biggest celebrations show up? And again, it's like, which channel are you looking at? And why not switch the channel? And that's why you need help. Because some people don't even know they're on the wrong channel. Some people don't know how to switch it, but the majority of them have lost the energy to do it. They just lived with an uncomfortably comfortable life.
Yep.
And they figured out a way to get through. And that really is just the way people are, but not for everybody. For the people who really have always deserved an opportunity, but for whatever situation or whatever, they ended up with potluck. And before you knew it, years went by. But what I do know is that flame of what you always wanted to be is still out there, right? And LinkedIn Live can say your past doesn't have to define your future. You can now reinvent yourself. Nobody knows you. And everybody will judge you by who you bring to the table, anyways. So instead of wanting more from somebody who doesn't know you, why not be the best everything you can be when you show up?
Yes.
You know, give yourself the best shot.
Yes. I love that. But you got to show up, Don. You've got to be a leader. And how can, so many, I was just having the same conversation with a friend yesterday who's hiring for a leadership role in his company. And the applicants that came through on LinkedIn didn't have complete profiles. They didn't have profile pictures, no attention to detail. And they weren't showing up in their network. So they'd never posted. They had weren't really commenting on a lot of people's posts. It didn't show him that they were showing up. So if you're not showing up right here on and building a community and building a team here, how can a prospective employer expect you to do that when you get the job? If you're not complete on your profile here and don't show attention to detail here, how can they expect that when you get the job? Again, you have to show up, be a leader, and bring people in with you and build others up. People see that and they feel that energy of, again, reciprocity, right? I use that word a lot because it's such a powerful word. And so too often we, again, have this me, myself, and I approach, this very short funnel of only thinking of clients, clients, clients. Widen your funnel, get it as wide as possible. It's not just about clients, it's also about strategically aligned business partners like you and I. It's also about just building a community. Again, thinking of that spirit of reciprocity and giving back, and what can you add to others? How can you uplift your community? That's what people want. They
Mm-hmm.
want somebody that's showing up, that's building a community, and that has that spirit of reciprocity, because nothing screams leadership like that. So if that's what you want, you've got to start here.
And another thing that you just brought up that could be so important for people's appreciation and understanding is, if you do LinkedIn better, you have a competitive advantage over those who don't
Yes.
and don't even know they're getting diminished because their picture, that they looked at LinkedIn as an afterthought or a check the box. I made a profile, my name, my city, and something. And that's still better than someone who didn't do anything. And sometimes on LinkedIn, all you got to do is be good enough not to be bad, to be still on your way to some level of success. But when you look at the time invested in cleaning up your profile, and here's a secret gem, look at someone's profile that's just wow. Well, mirror it. You know, if you like what they have to say, naturally you should personalize it to what you do and who you are. But that's as simple as it gets. You know, they say act as if you are and you'll become. So start doing what really successful people do and the way they do it, you know, and you have no choice, but you'll be getting what they're getting if you're doing what they're doing. And
Yes.
it's really the initiative that people lack. And everybody wants you to just add water to something and it becomes instant for them. But you know, LinkedIn is still in the real world, whatever it takes to be successful as far as attributes, as far as qualities, it just amps up more. And if you get LinkedIn Live, people get you for everything you are or everything you aren't. And that's all that matters is the response from the audience. And hopefully, we don't know what the potential LinkedIn Live is yet. There's nobody who's taken it on the track and really worked it, right? So this could be 100-to-1 payoff because even LinkedIn doesn't know what it does.
Yeah.
So the point is if this is where the action is and where the action is going to continue to grow, get on the fast side of the street, get with the people who are doing it. And here's what you got to do. Take inventory, ask yourself how much time you got left, right? At what point are you going to quit? And you should just have that date. If in 90 days I'm not this, I'm gone, or 180 days or 20 years, doesn't matter. How much money would I be willing to invest to ensure success or to at least get me on a right track? You know, the beauty of everything you can do on LinkedIn is just like what we're doing, episode by episode, person by person, day by day. You can make any switch in any combinations. You can have a lightning bolt idea and go back to somebody and say, I got it. I got a way to bridge what we're talking about. And see, that's what you want to do is institute the process, not the culmination. You want to work towards something, not at something in a way that it's this or that. It's like, hey, I got this, you got that. Doesn't quite mesh yet. But that's when two people get creative. You know, and I was even thinking about theme shows for LinkedIn Live, and one would be LinkedIn's Got Talent. There's
Yeah.
as a theme, and then that would give me a foundation to say, well, here's the 6 rising stars I found this week. LinkedIn's Got Talent, right? So you can take successful ideas in a different medium and apply them to this before anybody else does. You know, I was partners with a very, very successful guy, and he always told me copy and then innovate, but copy first. Take the best out there and be it, and then modify to your personality or to whatever it is, but you're already running at high speed. And you can, you know, it's like in NASCAR, you know, you can get behind somebody and draft, right? And just work off of their power until it's time to pass. And it's the same principle. So, you know, I found that if you keep it simple and your language is something that everybody can understand. Another thing is people hate elitism and they hate people who aren't fair and respectful, even though they're great and knowledgeable. What do you think, Tara?
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, so many good points there, but you're so right on. People think again that, in business, right? There's too much competition, let's say, or there's just a lot of competition, whatever. Competition is a good thing. You know why? Because it means there's money there. When LinkedIn Live, you think too many people are doing it, that's absolutely not true. Again, folks, 99% of LinkedIn users don't even post. So again, what is the percentage of users that are actually utilizing this LinkedIn Live as a content platform? It's got to be less than I would say 0.1%. I mean, it's
Mhm.
incredibly low. So you just going out and posting and then doing these videos, doing these LinkedIn live shows, it puts you in a different category. There's no such thing as competition when you mimic somebody else, but then put your own authentic spin on it. But the key is authenticity. Inauthenticity is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. People can smell it, they can see it. 90% of human communication is nonverbal. So when you get on video, it uncovers those layers of who you are as a real person and gets people to see that authentic, genuine version of your true self. And that's what attracts those opportunities to you. But you'll never get those opportunities if you don't first put yourself out there. So you have to put yourself out there. Don't think there's too much competition or there's no room in the market for you. Find what makes you really super passionate, what you want to talk about for days on, and run with it and make it your own, but copy what somebody else is doing that's a couple steps ahead of you. Put your own spin on it and go for it, guys, because honestly, the time is now. You've got to make use of this platform.
So inspiring. With that, thank you for joining today. Appreciate it. And we look forward to our next one. Any last words, Tara?
Go out there and get it. Success is possible for each one of you. That's all I have to say. Get it.
Perfect.